Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is just um, a regular makeup tutorial. I haven't chosen anything special to do for today. I've already primed my skin and I've already done my eyebrows. So probably what I'm going to do next is my eyeshadow.
Faye Copeland was also convicted of murder and was sentenced to death.
That is the only thing I think they convict her on, was the piece of paper with the names on it.
Before Ray Copeland could be executed,
I want to do kind of like a nude
in 1993.
look. I'm not trying to go for anything too special or too dramatic.
To life in prison.
Just a natural, eye look.
Wondering, was I to blame? So why should I have to pay for something he done? If he done.
Ray and Faye Copeland don't get much sympathy from the transients who live in the missions on Commercial Street.
So I hope they keep her till she grows. Don't have any feelings for people like that at all.
I'll make sure all my eye boogies
Of
are
the 8 men
first.
on the Copeland's list, Thomas Park, Franklin Hudson, and Dale Brake are still missing. Police believe they too were murdered and that their bodies are buried nearby somewhere.
I'm gonna do the darkest color on the crease. Really bad. My girlfriend in the background being silly.
2 young boys fishing in an Ohio lake found what looked like a human skull. All of its teeth were missing, and markings on the skull told a tale of unspeakable violence. Police had no idea who this person was or how long the skull had been in the water. Hamilton, Ohio is an industrial city of about 62,000 people in the southwestern part of the state.
I don't really
It's
like
an
to
area
highlight a
blessed
lot
with natural beauty.
since the dark
Residents
circles
enjoy
in my
the
eyes are
rivers,
kind of getting
streams and lakes that dot the landscape.
out of control.
On August 7,
Let's
1996,
see.
12-year-old Tim Lyons and his friend TJ Dijon headed to Linden Lake for an afternoon of fishing. But instead of a bluegill or catfish, the boys reeled in what looked like a skull.
It's hard to believe that you find somebody's head down there, that you're just fishing, mind your own business, and you reel in somebody's head. It's just unbelievable.
The boys left the skull on the bank, uncertain of what to do.
I know my mom and dad, they didn't believe me. They thought I was just goofing off.
Like a whole day passed before we went back down there and it was still there.
This time, the boys contacted the police.
First cop down there was...
And I like to spray this on my beauty
He
blender.
came down there and we were showing him everything.
I actually
He did
need some more,
rock
but
that,
it's
so
just
yeah,
a
it's
Wet n
real. You
Wild
guys have opened up a big investigation, just kept going
photo
on and on
focus
about like we did
spray.
something wrong.
I usually just spray it on my face after,
down there,
you know, I'm done
boats and everything.
doing
People
my
scuba
makeup,
diving down
but
there
kind of
searching
just
for
like as
other
a
clues.
setting
It's crazy. Went nuts from there.
agent.
The police scuba divers could
Because
not
I don't
find
like
any
using
other
that
body parts
banana
in the
powder or
lake, and
whatever
the search of
powder
the
it
immediate
is
area was also fruitless.
that every other makeup artist is using. I don't like it. I just feel like it makes me ashy.
That the individual hadn't been in the lake long, perhaps only a few weeks, because there was still some soft tissue clinging to it. But investigators were faced with a mystery.
You know, when we have a skull turn up, what does that tell you? It doesn't really tell you a whole lot. It could be that somebody robbed a grave out in the country and then got rid of parts of the body. It could be a homeless person who passed away and part of the remains got dragged, an animal, a varmint, dragged part of the remains someplace. So it doesn't really tell you that there's a homicide or foul play.
Who was this person? How did he or she die? And where was the rest of the body? To assist in the identification,
And now I'm just
the
gonna go
coroner sent
in
the
with
skull to the
my
College of Mount St. Joseph outside
Fit
Cincinnati
Me
to Dr.
Poreless
Beth
Foundation.
Murray, one of only 63
I actually need to
board-certified
clean my
forensic
weed later. It's kinda
anthropologists
dirty.
in the United States.
This case was one of the most challenging, fascinating, personally rewarding, but also at the same time personally terrifying cases that I think I've worked.
Dr. Murray noticed a deep indentation on the top of the skull, which suggested the killer used a machete or a cleaver on the top of the victim's head. And Dr. Murray found other cuts and scratches all over the skull.
And they were signs of trying to get the flesh off of the skull. And it gave me chills to realize that someone had sat with this skull in their hands and defleshed it.
This skull had a nose cavity indicative of a Caucasian. A battery of nearly 24 measurements fed into a computer program confirmed this was the skull of a woman. Dr. Murray estimated that the victim was under 35 years of age.
The sutures of the skull, the lines where the individual skull bones knit together, those were still very open, and they typically will tend to close with age.
Evidence suggested someone had used many different types of tools in an extraordinary effort to conceal the woman's identity. A series of jagged parallel marks indicated a serrated knife the size of a kitchen steak knife had been dragged along the sides of the skull. Cut marks on the cheekbones indicated the jaw had been forcefully removed with a small, single-edged blade like a pocket knife. And there were several puncture wounds in the eye sockets, an indication that the killer removed the victim's eyes. The teeth were also missing. In the upper jaw was a broken tooth root, which told Dr. Murray that the teeth had been deliberately pulled.
And when you held the skull at just the right angle, you could see that the weapon that was used was a needle-nose pliers. You could actually see marks in the bone where the pliers had been inserted and the teeth snapped out.
Dr. Murray hesitated to tell homicide investigators about her suspicions.
And I thought, they're not going to believe me. And they're not going to believe that this is true. And so I took the skull to 2 other experts before I made that phone call, because I had never seen anything like this before in my life.
It would be the most difficult murder investigation local officials had ever encountered.
And basically, you just blend till you feel like, you know, you can't blend anymore. Just blend it to your liking, I guess you could say.
A Caucasian woman under the age of 35. They knew nothing else. Marks found on the skull indicated that the flesh had been removed, as had her teeth, in an attempt to hide the woman's identity.
I've seen a lot of criminals try to hide their crime and conceal their activity.
Now that we're done with blending, we're gonna go
to this length
I
of
don't really like to
activity
contour too much,
to conceal a crime.
but we might do a little bit of
Discovered that only
contour
4
and
individuals
highlight.
had recently been reported missing. One was 21-year-old Tina Mott, reported missing just 2 months before the skull was found.
And I'm gonna use my
Tina Mott
Black
was the
Radiance
single mother of an
True
18-month-old
Complexion
son,
Contour
Johnny.
Palette.
She had been living here on a quiet residential street in an upstairs apartment with her 24-year-old boyfriend, Tim Bradford. Tina Mott was originally from New York. She met her boyfriend Tim while she was selling magazines door to door. They settled in Tim's hometown of Hamilton, where Tina worked as a clerk at a local store. Tim was a framer at this art shop.
I'm gonna use the
He was in his
highlights.
mid-20s, so he pretty much enjoyed doing the things that people in their mid-20s like to do. Go out, hang out with friends, go to concerts, things like that.
When questioned by police, Tim said that Tina had gone back to New York to visit her family and left the baby behind. Police soon discovered that Tina Mott never reached New York. Tina was reported missing not by her family, but by Tim's mother, Elizabeth Bradford.
So at first she didn't really think anything about it, but then when she started calling New York to see if she was up there, and she wasn't, she knew she wasn't away on her own will because she knew she wouldn't leave the baby alone.
Elizabeth Bradford
So I'm gonna
also
do my
told police
lashes
that she was
with
afraid
this
of her son
Rimmel
and his
London
temper.
Volume Lash Scandalous
Armed
Mascara.
with a warrant, police searched the storage locker Bradford rented shortly after Tina disappeared. Inside, they found this set of 19 kitchen knives with small, medium, and large serrated blades. Police also found a book on how to kill with your bare hands, and a notebook on satanic rituals. Tim Bradford's mother told police her son practiced devil worship. Also suspicious was Tim Bradford's behavior during Tina's disappearance. An ATM security camera captured pictures showing Tim Bradford withdrawing money from Tina Mott's bank account after she disappeared. Investigators also learned that Tim Bradford occasionally used drugs.
We know from some statements that Tina supposedly had told people she worked with that she was afraid of Tim because of his drug usage. Now I'm speculating here, but I think what that means is that when he's using drugs, his violent temper is a little bit more flammable. You know, that he erupts a little bit quicker, has a shorter fuse, and maybe that's why she's afraid of him.
Next,
Lipstick.
police searched the couple's apartment.
Kind of lipstick.
Inside, they conducted a luminol test. The chemical is sprayed on a surface. It can reveal blood that has been cleaned
Use
up
my
with water and
moisturizing
detergents. On the
lipstick
living room
by
carpet,
e.l.f. in the
investigators
color
found an area believed
Rose.
to be human blood. They also found blood on the bathroom floor, in the crevice between the floor and the tub, and also near the toilet. Police suspected the Linden Lake skull was that of Tina Mott, but they needed scientific proof to be certain. When a human skull was recovered from Linden Lake in Ohio, investigators needed to find some forensic technique to make a conclusive identification. The most effective means of identification is by analyzing the teeth of the victim and comparing those to known dental x-rays, since no two sets of teeth are exactly alike.
So to everybody who watches my channel, thank you very much. Always comment below for any suggestions. If you follow my Instagram, if we're friends on Snapchat, I don't have a Twitter, but you know, if we're friends on Facebook, you know, just always feel free to suggest different looks that you want me to do. Again, I am a beginner, so I don't know how to do a lot of things yet, but hopefully that will come over time. Again, thank you for watching, and bye.